Welcome to Thought for the Day on the 2nd of November. The Gospel reading for today is Matthew chapter 2 verses 1 to 12. I am reading from the New International Version of the Bible. The Magi visit the Messiah. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem, in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least amongst the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly, and found from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report him to me, so that I too may go and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And, having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. This reading seems a strange choice for this time of the year, as we normally associate the coming of the Magi with the period after Christmas, with Twelfth Night and Epiphany. But Matthew's Gospel is brief on the circumstances of Jesus' birth. There are no details of the Annunciation to the Virgin Mary, only to Joseph. There is no mention of the journey to Bethlehem or hosts of angels appearing to the shepherds, which Luke tells of. Instead, Matthew focuses on Jesus' birth as part of God's plan, which had been a long time in the making. Matthew starts in chapter 1 with Jesus' genealogy, descended from Abraham through 42 generations. And here in chapter 2, Matthew writes of Herod asking the priests where Christ was to be born, and being directed by them to the prophecy by Micah that out of Judea would come a ruler as shepherd to the people of Israel. Matthew is the only one of the Gospels to mention the Magi, but their purpose and the gifts they bring are important in showing God's plan. They came from the east, maybe from Babylon, where the Jewish people had been exiled many years before, or perhaps even further into Asia. They brought exotic gifts. The precious resins of myrrh and frankincense came from trees not grown in Israel. They were directed to Jesus' birthplace by a star and announced his coming to the authorities. But they did not put Jesus in harm's way and concealed his location from Herod, again as directed by divine intervention. When they do arrive and see Jesus, they worship him. They recognize him not just as king, but as divine. Theirs is not some diplomatic mission to curry favour with a future earthly ruler, but to pay honour to a heavenly one. Gold may be a suitable gift for a king, but frankincense and myrrh were then associated with priestly rituals of death and purification of temples, foretelling of a heavenly reign rather than an earthly one. For me, not yet caught up in the planning for Christmas and the sometimes formidable task of holiday catering and present buying, this reading is a timely reminder of how Jesus might expect us to honour his birth. Certainly we're looking forward to Christmas this year with a greater degree of uncertainty, given the impact of COVID and the last-minute lockdown last year. But Matthew reminds us of God's greater plan, which cannot be overset by changes in our lives or the world around us. Dear Lord, I give you thanks for your great gift to us at Christmas and throughout the year. Amen.